Today we'll be talking about the Shrinkwrap modifier. I'll demonstrate it on an example of a boat floating on waves. The boat is supposed to move along with the waves in the same rhythm. I will use the ocean modifier to produce the waves. In this project, I'll be using the 2.9 version of Blender. So let's get started. Here are the steps to follow. Step 1. Add an ocean modifier. So let's start by saving the file, which is good practice, I think. I already did it. Now we can leave the default cube because the ocean modifier will turn it into a plane anyway. Now go to the modifier tab and select the ocean modifier. Modifiers tab, add modifier, ocean. Step 2. Set the ocean animation. To see the waves moving, we must animate the waves. Let's start by setting the end frame of the timeline to 480. Which, at the default frame rate of 24 FPS frames per second, will correspond to 20 seconds. Now go to frame 1 if you're not there, and add a keyframe here by hovering over time and hitting I. Then go to the last frame now we can see the last frame over here and set time to 20 and insert another keyframe, so hit I. Now we have two keyframes here and here. Now let's play the animation. Let's go back to frame 1 and hit play. So the animation starts slow, then it accelerates. Okay? Step 3. Open the graph editor. As you just saw, the animation starts slow, then it accelerates until it reaches its constant speed, and at the end it slows down again. This is because it's using nonlinear interpolation. We don't need the acceleration and deceleration effects, so let's change the interpolation type to linear. You can do it in the graph editor. So switch the timeline editor to graph editor. Let's zoom out a little. So here is the animation in the graph editor. So it starts slow, accelerates, and then slows down again. Step 4. Change to linear interpolation. Now to change the interpolation to linear, go to the key menu, then interpolation mode, and select linear. Now the speed is constant. Step 5. Play the animation again. First, let's switch back to timeline. And now let's play the animation again. Watch the beginning and the end of the animation. There's no acceleration or deceleration now. So now here we have the ocean, and now we can add the boat. So step 6, add the boat. Now that we have the ocean, we also need a boat. It's going to be a very simple one. Let's add a UV sphere, Shift A, Mesh, UV sphere, move it up a little, G, Z, 2, Enter, and scale it on the y-axis, so S, Y, 2, Enter. Here it is. Let's zoom in. Step 7. Model the boat. Let's go to Edit mode, so hit Tab, Wireframe Shading over here, and Front View, 1 on your numpad. Now select the upper part of the boat and delete it. So hit X, vertices. Step 8. Add the Solidify modifier. Let's go back to Object Mode, Tab, Solid Shading, This is our boat now. It's very thin. Let's add some thickness to it. So let's go to the Modifier tab and add a new modifier. This is going to be the Solidify modifier. This added some thickness to the walls of the boat. And let's set the thickness to 0.05. This will do. Step 9. Apply the Solidify modifier. Now we want this change to be permanent, so let's apply the modifier. Here, click on this arrow and hit Apply. Good. Step 10. Select the vertices for the boat floor. Go to Edit Mode, Top View, so 7 on your numpad, and select the vertices in the middle. You can use the Circle Select tool in the keyboard to do that, so hit C. Now you can see the circle. If you scroll your mouse wheel, the circle will get bigger or smaller. Now you can left click on the vertices you want to select. So just like this. Now if you by accident select a vertex that you don't want to select, like here for example, you can just click on this with the mouse wheel to deselect it. Now if you're done, click the right mouse button to get rid of the circle. Step 11. Collapse the vertices. Now with the vertices selected, go to the Mesh menu and then under Merge, select Collapse. Now all these vertices collapse into one point. Step 12. Flatten the floor. Now let's go to Right View. So 3. Wireframe Shading. And now let's move the selected vertex. Now there's only one because they are all collapsed into it. And move it up until you can't see the selection anymore. So G, Z, and let's move up. Left click to confirm. Now the floor is flat. And now let's have a look at this in solid shading and from a different angle. Right. Step 13. Finish the boat model. Now let's go to Object Mode, so Tab, and select Shade Smooth from the Object menu. Object, Shade Smooth. This boat maybe isn't perfect, but it's okay for our purpose. Right. Step 14. Put the boat on the water. So let's go to Front View, 1 on your numpad, and move the boat down. I think something like 1.4 units will be fine. So G, Z, negative to move downwards, 1.4, enter. The bottom part of the boat should be under the sea surface. Good. Step 15. Play the animation with the boat on water. Now let's play the animation again with the boat on the water. So as you can see, the ocean is being animated, but the boat won't budge. What's even worse, the water will pour into it from below from time to time. You can see the water here now. Well, this doesn't look realistic. Okay, let's stop the animation. Step 16. Move the boat aside. Well, this is why we have to do something about it. Before we move on to the next step, let's move the boat to the side. So let's go to Front View, 1, and let's hit G, X to move along the X-axis, -5. Good. Step 17. Add a plane. We'll add a plane, add the Shrinkwrap modifier to it so that it takes the shape of the surface of the ocean, and then we'll make the boat move along with it. So let's add a plane. Shift-A, Mesh, Plane. And move it up a bit so that it's slightly above the sea level. G, Z, up. Step 18. Subdivide the plane. With the plane selected, go to Edit Mode and subdivide it. You will find the Subdivide option in the Edge menu. Subdivide, and set the number of cuts over here to 3 or 4. Let's say 4. Good. Step 19. Add a vertex group. We'll need to assign a vertex group to the plane. So make sure the plane is selected and go to the Object Data tab in the Properties editor, which is here. Now hit the plus sign button to add a vertex group and hit Assign to assign it to the vertices. Step 20. Add the Shrinkwrap modifier to the plane. Now go to Object Mode, make sure the plane is selected, and now for the sake of clarity, let's rename the cube Ocean and the sphere Boat. Now make sure the plane is selected, it's very important, and go to the Modifier tab and add a Shrinkwrap modifier. Now set the ocean as the target and make sure Snap Mode is set to On Surface. With that done, you will see the plane attach itself to and take the shape of the nearest surface, which is that of the ocean. Step 21. Play the animation again. If you now play the animation again, let's do it, you will see that the plane is now moving along with the surface of the ocean. Okay. Step 22. Add a copy location constraint to the boat. Now select the boat and go to the Object Constraint Properties tab, which is here. Add a copy location constraint, copy location, and set the target to the plane we just added. Then set the vertex group to the group we created. Step 23. Play the animation again. If you now play the animation, you will see that the boat will be moving along with the ocean surface. Step 24. Add a copy rotation constraint to the boat. We also want the boat to rotate along with the waves. So with the boat still selected, let's add a copy rotation constraint, copy rotation, and let's set target to the plane and the vertex group to our vertex group, just like before. Step 25. Move the boat up. Now with the location constraint, you won't be able to move the boat like you usually do. The boat is now too deep in water. We must move it up. To do that, go to Edit Mode, select All, and move the boat up so that the bottom part of it is under the water, but most of it is above the water. G, Z. Okay, this looks fine. Step 26. Animate the location of the boat. Let's go back to Object Mode. Now we want the boat to float from one place to another. To do that, we should actually animate the plane it's attached to. So select the plane, we can do it here, and move it to the back. So hit G, Y, 6 for example, enter. Then go to frame 1, I'm already here, and add a location keyframe. So I, location. Step 27, add another keyframe. Now go to the last frame by hitting this button over here. Then move the boat to the front, so we can just hit G, Y, -15, enter. And add another location keyframe, so again, I, location. Step 28, change the interpolation mode. We want the movement of the boat to be linear too, so let's switch the timeline editor to a graph editor. And here in the key menu, under interpolation mode, let's select linear. Step 29, play the animation. Now let's switch back to the timeline. And play the animation. Let's go back to frame 1, play. Now the boat should be moving from a distance toward the front of the scene, floating on the waves. Okay. Well, actually that's it. We have the boat floating on the waves, but let's add some materials. Step 30. Add some basic materials. Although it's not extremely important for this tutorial, however, let's add at least some basic materials to the ocean and the boat. So select the ocean. It already has a material, and just let me set the color, the base color, to something like, for example, hex 117175, which is a nice bluish color like that of the sea. You can now switch to render shading so that you can see the color. Now select the boat and add a material to it, new, and set the base color to something like, for example, hex 503D1E, which is a nice brownish color. Now we don't want to see the plane to which the boat is attached, so let's select it here and click on the eye icon next to its name in the outliner. Fine, we don't see the plane anymore. So here's our scene. Step 31. Let there be light. Now the scene is pretty dark. We could add a light or multiple lights, but for our purposes we just set the world color to a light shade of blue. So go to the World Properties tab, which is over here, and set the color here to something light, like for example B3 F5 FF. Good. Step 32. Make the ocean bigger. Now let's select the ocean and let's make it a bit bigger. So the easiest way to do it is to go to the Modifier tab, and here in the Ocean Modifier set the repeat X and Y values to something bigger, like 3 for example. So repeat X 3, repeat Y 3. Good. Step 33. Make the waves bigger. The ocean is pretty calm. Let's play the animation again. Yeah. Let's make the waves bigger. So in the ocean modifier under waves, set scale to 2. Now the waves are bigger. Let's play the animation. Okay. Step 34. Turn off the overlays. Now press the Show Overlays button over here to toggle off all the overlays. So all the helper lines, outlines, axes, the grid, etc. So everything that helps us move around the scene but is not itself part of the scene. Step 35. Play the animation again. So we're done. We can now play the animation and watch. Okay, that's it for this video. If you like it, a thumbs up would be great. Also, make sure to subscribe for future videos. If you want to leave a comment or ask a question, you're welcome to do so. Thanks for watching.